friends and neighbors. Welcome in the light, where laughter's the answer and hearts are shining bright. With calloused hands and wits, so razor sharp, let's praise a place where love ignites the spark.
Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to Sunnyside. Well, it took a week off there, and man, has it been an interesting week. So I've got some things to talk about. So first off, I have to say I've made it to the big time. I mean, you believe that? Nah, me either. But so on Wednesday night last week, what happened was I was sitting here in the studio working on some things relating to our beef sales with our cows that have now gone to the processing locker, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit here and wrap things up later on with that story. But this particular Wednesday night, I was just working on beef orders, and I'd created a kind of a cool little an intake sheet, the cuts that every customer wants, and making sure that we've got that recorded and correctly, and having the opportunity to explain that to my customers as they order their custom beef from Sunnyside Farms. And so I was really proud of myself. I felt like a government worker again from back in the day when I was doing recruiting and armory business in the National Guard, making new forms and turning them into PDFs and all that cool stuff. I was really proud of myself for being able to retain those important desktop skills, which is what I was doing. I got the logo on; it looks really sweet, and and it's paperwork, right? So it's not my favorite thing. It's also tax season, so I was also had been doing stuff, getting all that those items in order as well, and so just doing paperwork in the office. And this was later on a Wednesday night, and my bride came into the studio, and she was fired up. She takes care of a lot of the business in the household. That's what she does for a living. She's a GM, and so she's the GM here at Sunnyside Farms for sure. And so she was telling me that our insurance company, we have different levels of insurance for different things around the Sunnyside Farms and Studios enterprises and all these different things we've got going on. And she's on the ball when it comes to making sure that we're properly insured. So we're the easiest probably customers for our friends at the insurance agency that we use, and they are our friends. And so because we'll call them up and say, I don't know if we've got enough insurance, which is usually the opposite. So if it were me, I probably would never call. I'd be like, I don't know. Let's play the risk a different way. But she doesn't think that way. So we have an umbrella policy, like a lot of people do, that kind of covers all the other insurance policies, and then that's why it's called an umbrella. And we've had it for several years, and we've done that for a variety of reasons. It's just a little additional protection and covers some of the other things that maybe, one or two of the other policies don't. And so that being said, without being an insurance discussion, she was very upset because she said that, every year we have to reapply with our umbrella insurance company. And this is never a problem. We've never had any claims actually on an umbrella. And so pretty good deal for whoever that company is, I would think. And I'm not going to name the name of the company. I don't think that's going to be fair to them. But anyway, she said they dropped us. They dropped our umbrella policy, which I was like, that's weird. And she said, I know. I mean, why do you think that they dropped us? Because she was not happy with that. It's almost like you are, I take it personally, to not be a customer of an insurance company. And so it's like, what did we do wrong so that we can't continue to pay you our premiums every month or whatever we do? And yeah, so I guess it is a little offensive that we would be dropped from our umbrella policy. Well, you would think that, because again, we've never had a claim. on our umbrella insurance ever. And so it's just been, making money for this particular company. And that's how insurance works. It's a gamble. We're betting something is going to happen, and they're betting that things aren't going to happen, and then that's how you establish your premium. It's they're bookies essentially, in the best way possible that you can be in the insurance business. And so these particular bookies determined that we were too much of a risk, even though we'd never filed a claim. And is it because of the property that we purchased that I've talked about before, as we're going to develop a beautiful pasture for the cattle to graze on, and we're really looking forward to developing that. And it has a pond or two on it. Is that part of what it is? No, it wasn't that, is because there's, there will be livestock on it, and there will be, fencing, and there will be, obviously the ponds that are down there. Now, it's going to be closed to the public, but it will still be, still there. No, that wasn't it. I was like, oh, well, maybe it's the chicken house I built, which is ridiculous. It's in a gigantic chicken house. It's 3 stories tall. It looks like a Norwegian stave church. It's beautiful and and silly. And it's not. I mean, it's like 8.5 feet wide by 20 feet long, and it's got 12 windows in it that look like little church windows. And of course, you've got 2 additional stories above that get perpetually smaller, and so on and so forth. Is it that? Is it because I built an unnecessarily large and decorative hen house, hen holla, if you will? No, that wasn't it either. I mean, maybe it is the livestock that we've got. I mean, we do have livestock, and we've got them in different spots, and maybe there's a risk to that. But lots of people have livestock. Obviously, this is farm country, so that would be interesting. No, it wasn't that. I'm like, man, I'm trying to figure out, what did we do that would possibly cause us to have our umbrella policy dropped? And I couldn't figure it out, and she said she couldn't figure it out either. I'm dragging this out a little bit more for your entertainment. This conversation didn't last that tremendously long that Wednesday night last week in the studio here with my bride. It turns out, according to our insurance agent, who had to give us the bad news that we had been dropped by this particular mutual company, was because of my podcast. I mean, I was like, what? And obviously that's what Heidi thought too. She's like, what? What are you talking about? Well, I thought maybe it had to do with, our Sunnyside biographies, maybe because we bring in customers, and they're usually elderly. They're telling their life stories and recording them and getting them produced here in the studio by me, so that can be a treasure that their family can listen to for forever, for as long as they want to. And we've done that pretty successfully and continue to build on that business. You've heard me talk about that, I think, before. But, you have people coming in, and they're coming up into the studio, and but never had any issues with that. But I didn't know if that increased the risk.
Sit still. I said, I can't. Something's tickling me. She thought I was crazy. She said, well, open your coat. I unbuttoned my coat and opened it up. There was a mouse.
Stories. Everybody has them. The stories of our parents, grandparents, and our friends remind us who they are.
That's kind of what I think it is too, is memories. Growing up, my dad was an English teacher.
How they got here and what they've learned on the way. What if you could collect as many of your loved ones' stories in a high-quality audio format to keep forever? What if you could share the sound of your loved one's voice, their laughter, and their thoughtful manner with your children? Or when you are simply driving to work?
He spent literally 3 months in North Dakota freezing buckets of ice water to make this awesome ice fort that we never spent time in, but it was amazing. For the moment it was done.
Well, you can with a Sunnyside of Life biography. Produced here at Sunnyside Farm Studios. I'll sit down with your loved one for 1, 2, or several sessions to record their stories.
I think my students are going to have good memories of me.
You'll receive the full raw recording, an edited selection arranged in audio chapters for easy reference, and produced segments you can use for family gatherings, special moments, or any time you just want to hear your loved one's voice.
And those are probably my most cherished things.
Share it with your family and make it a keepsake, because that's what stories are. Keepsakes of the time we had together.
Never forget that. I was petrified of mice after that forever.
Email your query for more information to Troy at sunnysidefarmstudios.com. The email is also in this show's notes. Let me record your loved one's story so you can share the sunny side of their life in their own words for years to come.
I actually do kind of remember that now.
It wasn't the Sunnyside Biographies. It wasn't that. I was like, okay, well, I mean, I produce this show that you're listening to, and thank you for doing that. And then I produce Mr. B's Dinner Party, which, you know, if you haven't listened to that, it's wildly different from my show. He reviews TV shows and movies, and he has stories about his times as a teacher. He does a spiritual journey in almost every episode where he talks about his struggles with overeating, which has been very helpful to a segment of his listeners who are struggling with the same thing, and is always very positive. And sometimes he'll read poetry, and he'll complain about his pet peeves, and it's just a fun hour-long, every 2 weeks, comes out on Wednesdays, Mr. B's Dinner Party, and it's produced by me, so I produce that.
Hi, this is Scott Bertelson. I was a public education instructor at Forest City High School for 39/40 who's counting years, and during that time, I learned a lot about myself and life, as I still am now in my retirement. That's why I am hosting Mr. B's Dinner Party on this podcast platform, and I hope that you will join me at the dinner table for conversational morsels for the mind. Now, you may be wondering what that is. Well, you'll have to tune in to find out. But let me guarantee you, you will leave my dinner table feeling full and feeling satisfied.
Join Mr. B's Dinner Party from Sunnyside Farm Studios every other Wednesday.
Hope that you will join me for Mr. B's Dinner Party on this platform.
But he doesn't ever say anything offensive. I don't like all the movies that he reviews. You know, that doesn't have anything to do with it. They're all popular movies. And so I was like, it couldn't be that. And it wasn't. It wasn't Mr. B's Dinner Party. And then obviously we do the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast here from Sunnyside Studios, which has been on for 5 years. We're in our 5th season now, and that is very limited. That's a much smaller audience even than what we have here in the big sunny side of life. the mothership podcast, if you will, which is still, we're nowhere near Joe Rogan's numbers or anybody like that. So trying to figure out, couldn't it be the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast? I mean, that's just me and my co-host Andy Buffington, and we sit down with coaches from Waldorf football and the players from Waldorf football, sometimes administration and different guests that we have on, and we talk about Waldorf football. We talk about spring ball, and we talk about coaching changes and different things like that, and we get to know the players, and we find out where they're from, and it's an opportunity for their parents to see them when they're on the other side of the country and find out who some of their teammates are and what their coaches are like and all of that.
It's third down, Warrior fan. Make some noise.
Hi, I'm Andy Buffington.
And I'm Troy Thompson.
Join us every Friday for a new episode of the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast.
Turnover on downs. Warrior Ball.
Find us on every podcast platform and get to know our Warriors.
Interception. Warriors, intercept the ball.
Meet the coaches.
Join the club.
Listen.
Laugh.
And love the woo.
And that's another Warrior first down.
It's the best small college football experience in America.
Every Friday. here
on the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast. Touchdown Warriors!
So it's not the Waldorf Gridiron Club podcast that was causing a problem. But again, we have guests in the studio. We have people coming and going. But that's only, you know, once a week. So how could that be a problem? So it's none of those things. And then it comes down to the other one that I just started producing this year. The fourth one is, of course, the Sunnyside Bible in a Year, which was part of the Sunnyside of Life show 2 years ago when we had that, mixed in. And as I've explained before, I broke it apart, put it in its own special podcast, and that's where it will stay. So that way, if you just want to listen to the Bible in a year and you want to hear me read it to you, you can do that on the Sunnyside Bible in a Year, which is a great podcast. And it's, I think, 10, 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer than that, sometimes a little bit less, depending on what section of the Bible I'm reading. And it comes out every single day. And in the course of a year, you can listen to the entire Bible if you want.
Hello, friends and neighbors. This is Troy Thompson of the Sunnyside of Life. Let's spend this year together reading the Word of God. Just take 10 to 15 minutes a day to join with me in the Sunnyside of Life's Bible in a Year experience. It may be just what you need. Lord knows I do. Besides, it's free, it's fast, and it's good for your soul. And you can start anytime. It doesn't take much to get caught up and on pace with us each day. So, whether you've read the Bible entirely already or you're just looking for a way to get it done, take a few moments with me here and let the good book be the sunny side of your life each and every day.
And so, and then after this year, it'll just all be available, and you can listen. If you had the time, you could listen to it all in 1 week. I don't know if there's that many minutes. It's a lot of minutes to read through the 66 books of that version of the Bible that I did. And so, it's all Bible. So if you go to YouTube, and you follow Sunnyside Farm Studios on YouTube, you'll see that the Waldorf Gridiron Club episodes are on there, and we do film every one of those now so that people can see the coaches and they can see the players, and so we do that. I've filmed some of the episodes here with the Sunnyside of Life, and we do not film the Mr. B's dinner party or the Bible in a Year. So what could it possibly be? So if you go to the YouTube channel, Google used to have its own podcast thing going on, and then it owns YouTube. And so then it just converged its Google podcasts all into YouTube for some reason. And so that's where everything is at for Google. And so on YouTube, if you go to Sunnyside Farm Studios, that channel, and please do make it, be a follower, follow Sunnyside Farm Studios on YouTube. You can see all of those things. But because the Sunnyside Bible in a Year comes out every single day, you're going to get that placard that's going to be like most of your videos, which really aren't videos. It's just audio. It shows the placard, and you can listen to it on your TV if you want, if that's how you do this. And so it looks like a lot of Bible reading. And then you'll have the Sunnyside of Life that comes out every week, except last week and occasionally. Sorry about that. And so, that'll be on there. And most of those are just audio because that's easy for me. And I like that. Mr. B's dinner party will be on there. Again, all audio. So it's just a placard and you can listen to it on your TV. And then the Waldorf Gridiron Club, which is going to have, video. And then occasionally I'll post my own silly videos on there as well. And there's not very many of those. Now, in the future, there will be more of those videos on YouTube because as we dig in this spring to moving these hens into hen holla, I want to show my listeners and our fans. Do we have fans? What we're doing, and you can finally see this hen house. I'll make a video of that. I want to document what we're doing at what we're calling Sunnyside Hollow, which is the land that we purchased that's got the ponds on it as we develop that. And there'll be lots of things that will be, I think, interesting for you to watch if you're interested in some retired Army guy trying to make a pasture and place for cattle and stocking fish and all this other stuff that we've got going on. So those videos will be on there as part of the Sunnyside Farm Studios channel on YouTube. So by all means, subscribe, click the button, like, whatever. I don't care. All of that stuff. And so I think I made it pretty clear that I don't care if it's not that I don't want you to, like what I'm saying or what I'm doing. But I do it because it's the way I feel, and I think it's interesting. And if it is, people will listen to it, or they'll watch it, or they won't, and then life goes on. This is not my main income by any means. It's fun for me to do, and I like it. So that's all going to be developed with the Sunnyside Farm Studios, YouTube page. But if you go to YouTube on the Sunnyside Farms channel, you're going to see a bunch of Bible in a Year placards, and then you'll see, some of the, occasionally, every so often, you'll see the, when they upload or when they hit each week or every other week, these other podcasts that I produce. Okay. So apparently this particular mutual insurance agency that's had our umbrella insurance for several years has decided that, according to my wife, the ruling is that it was my podcast. It's the one you're listening to right now, the Sunnyside of Life, which is, has always been for the last 4 years, life, liberty, and the pursuits which make us happy. And that's why I'll talk to people and interview them and see what's going on in their life. And sometimes I'll just give you my opinion on things. And the last time that I did that was 2 weeks ago, where I think I was pretty clear that I wasn't really enthusiastic about this thing with Iran, which is a war, even though we didn't declare it. And so I made it also clear in that particular episode. And I don't know if that was the episode that did it. All of my episodes are automatically transcribed, so you can read the transcription of every single episode if you'd rather read it for whatever reason. You certainly can do that, and it's right there in the Apple Podcast, for example. It'll just have the transcript right in there. So I don't know if they just used AI to go through my transcripts from just my show or what. But in that last episode 2 weeks ago, I had said that, I don't like the Iran war. I think it's a mistake. I gave the history of why we're not good at that. And I also explained that, as a faithful Christian, I understand where the other factions in the Middle East are coming from, the Sunni, the Shiite, the Jewish people, all of that. And then also indicated as a Christian that, I also don't believe that those are the true faiths. So, because how can you be a Christian and say that, but these are also okay? That's not how religion works. And so that's not how their religions work. That's not how our religion works. If you're listening to this and you're a Christian, and that's all okay. Nobody should be murdered for that. And so I thought I was pretty fair, and I don't think that I'm that controversial. Maybe I am. I guess if you say that you can't, that you don't think that, Muhammad was like the prophet that the Muslims believe that he is. But that's from the perspective as a Christian, I don't see how that is, really that controversial in today's world. I think everybody knows where everybody stands, and so on and so forth. But apparently, because of faith, this is the reasons that we were given, because of faith and politics, this particular mutual insurance company dropped our umbrella policy on our operations with Sunnyside of all of our different things we got going on. And speaking of politics and faith, this is a great time for me to promote what we're doing this Saturday at Sunnyside Farms. We have an opportunity for you to meet Stacy Besh, who is running for state senate right here in our district in this part of Iowa. So if you're listening to this and you want to meet a great candidate for the state senate office, she is running in a primary situation that'll be coming up in June. This is the great opportunity for you to do so. If you're local, come on by to Sunnyside Farms. Visit our Facebook page to see a little more details, but it'll start at 6 p.m. There'll be a meal. She'll start her stump speech at 6:30, and by golly, you'll like what she has to say. If you remember, Stacy was on my show not too long ago, and these are some of the things that she had to say.
The United States of America, we are #1 in the world when it comes to child trafficking and child pornography. I'll take this on and I'll bring awareness throughout everywhere across the state, because we realize that if it's that prevalent in the United States, we know Iowa had to kind of be up there too, even though we think we're Iowa nice. We want to go after demand reduction, and there's a big question mark on how do you go after them. We just need to start exposing them, because our laws for years here in Iowa, we were a Class D felony for human trafficking. So that means you could go steal a $1,000 TV, or you can go human traffic and it's the same consequences. So you might get 2 years in jail maybe, and you might get a $1,500 fine. But when we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry, $1,500 is not going to do any good to these people, right? I think God gave me a vision, but also the voice and name recognition. And I always love the prayer of Jabez, right? God, enlarge my territory, protect me, and give me the wisdom. And I think that's exactly what he did.
You're talking about the pipeline.
Yes. We're going to try to stop it. But District 5 that I'm running for, it's going to be going through 3 of those counties.
Yeah.
I never anticipated that I was going to be an entrepreneur or serial entrepreneur. At one time, I had 5 businesses fitting into voids that we had, but the town of Algona needed it. I live by the PCW paper, and people always wonder what that is. It's the pros and the cons, but most people go with whatever list is longer. I go with the W. And the W is the worst case scenario.
Okay.
And then I live by one line. If you can take the worst, you take the risk. If that helps me with my Senate race, I think it will, because that's how I'm going to look at things when I'm down there is PCW. Okay, what's the worst case scenario? Here's what I'm going to tell everybody. When I go down there for the 4 years, if I don't get elected after those 4 years because I either couldn't be bought or I didn't do my job, then my time is up. You get me down there, I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm not going to be bought. I call it trafficking. I'm not going to be trafficked down there.
Right.
And so if that's the case, I'm not going to get trafficked.
Yeah. So come out and meet Stacy Betsch, who's running for state senate. Can't wait to see you there on Saturday, March 28th, right here at Sunnyside Farms. We start at 6 and we eat and we have a great time talking about faith, life, politics, and the future for Iowa. And I was like, what? So Heidi was quite upset about that. She was furious at them. And because, look, I don't think that my wife, to be honest with you, I don't think my wife listens to my show because she was saying, like, all you do is read the Bible and then you make funny skits and then you occasionally, interview people. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously you're not listening to the show like the last one I did. But... So the truth is revealed in several different ways here. And I'm like, well, I did this last one. I came down kind of hard on the war. Like I said, I didn't like that. She's like, yeah, I know. But I was there at that conversation. I know you didn't. I know you don't like it. And I'm like, I know, but she didn't listen to the show. I know she didn't listen to the show. And I was like, well, I did say pretty clearly that as a Christian, I believe this, that, and the other thing. And she said, yeah, but that's just so I know, look, I don't think my wife is listening to the show. I thought my number one fan would be listening to my show, but apparently not, and that's fine. Apparently the folks at this particular mutual insurance agency either were listening, and also my wife doesn't think they were actually listening to it, which is in one way kind of hurtful. I feel like, well, why wouldn't they listen to my show? If they're that mad about the things I say about faith or politics, which, again, if you follow me, you know that my politics are pretty straightforward, but that doesn't mean that I'm all on one side or the other. I feel like I know what I believe, and I use my faith and justifications, understanding of what I think are good economics and good governance, and it comes down libertarian in many ways, or conservative, or maybe I am a right wing, libertarian, if that's a thing. I don't know. But I don't think that I try to not be visceral, unless it's like wicked comedy.
Ooh, that tastes weird. Honey, is there something wrong with our water? Ever since I visited Sunnyside, the water tastes so weird.
Does your water taste weird after returning from God's country to the city?
Yes, who is that?
It's me, the Mulligan Man.
Who?
The Mulligan Man from Mulligan, giving everyone a chance to start over with clean water.
What's wrong with my water?
Does it have a slightly communal, stale, generally poverty-stricken kind of flavor?
Yeah, it's kind of like...
Like water from a gulag urinal?
Yes. Wait, is that a thing? Do they have urinals?
They had buckets.
But what is that awful taste in my water?
That, comrade, is the distinct flavor of communism.
Communism?
Yes, well, technically it's the flavor of Marxist chloride, but it has the same effect. You can find it in every urban water supply in America.
But I thought it was fluoride.
That too.
Well, I don't like it. What can I do, Mulligan Man? Get rid of that bad socialist taste in my water.
You're in luck, you classical liberal. With Mulligan, you can install an iron curtain filter just for this kind of problem.
Really?
Of course! What better way to remove the red flavor of communism from your centrally planned city water supply than with the innovative machinery of free enterprise?
Well, that makes sense. Okay, Mulligan Man, I want another chance at the taste of freedom. Let's get that Iron Curtain filter installed.
You betcha, Pilgrim. When things taste a little too commie in your water, you know who to call.
Hey, Mulligan Man!
But even that, Lick, we don't swear on the show. We don't, I want my grandson and future, grandchildren to be able to listen to my shows more than my wife does, apparently, and understand where I'm coming from, and without being offended. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. I have my opinions, as you well know, but I'm not out here trying to hurt people's feelings. And in fact, most of the time I argue that I'm also trying to not hurt people. And that's part of why I didn't like this thing that we're doing in Iran. But I don't know if it was that episode. My wife doesn't think that they listened to my show either. She thinks that they just looked at the thing on YouTube and saw all the placards, saw all the Bible stuff, and maybe saw some of the titles, and maybe screened through some AI reading, looking for keywords in my transcripts from my show or the other shows. I don't know, and they decided, nope, too risky, and we can't figure out what the actual risk is. So I know that there are these helpful math nerds that work in the insurance agent, and I say that with all the love that actuaries deserve. They're called actuaries, and they determine the mathematical risk of, you name it. Anything can be actualized. I don't know if that's a word. They can figure out what the risk is, that something is going to happen that you don't want to happen, and then that's how you set they're the real bookies. They're the numbers guys and gals. And so actuaries, apparently in this particular mutual insurance agency, company, I should say, they're not an agency necessarily, but they say, well, this guy's too risky. And we don't know for sure which episode it was, if it was this, or if it's, we assume that it's this show, The Sunny Side of Life. And I was sitting in my chair, as I'm sitting right now. My wife was standing at the end of the podcast table where we've got her, where we have our guests and everything. And she was telling me all of this, and she was very fired up. We will not be doing business with this particular company ever again, which is also how if you're ever in an argument with my lovely wife, I tell you, that's how it ends. Like this will never, we will never do business with them again. And that's fine, because there are many fish in the sea. So we're already insured, and we already have an umbrella policy now with a different company, and life moves on as you would expect that it would, because we don't particularly need, in my opinion, I don't think we particularly need an umbrella policy, but my wife says we do, and so we've got one with a different company, and it won't ever be with the other company that let us go. And they let us go because of their reasoning is faith and politics. Matters of faith and politics. Now, we've requested a letter from this particular company, and we have not yet to receive it. We were looking specifically, we'd love for them to tell us that the reason that we can't give you an umbrella policy is because you talk about faith and you talk about politics, which is astounding to me in general. Now, I believe that every business has the right to refuse service. I do. I believe that. And sometimes that can be controversial, particularly if you go back in like civil rights days and things like that. I don't think those are good things. But I think that businesses, independently owned businesses, have the right to refuse service. I have that right as a business person to refuse service to people that maybe want to do business with me, but maybe I don't want to do business with them. I think that is the right. So this company that that dropped our umbrella coverage, they have the right to do that. I'm not upset about that at all, because there's many of their competitors, and we've already found one that we're very happy with, and we'll move on, et cetera, et cetera. But it's weird to me that occurred, and I don't know. I guess I can't figure out the insurance risk to them. I can't figure out what the actuaries would have said. This is too much of a risk, because when you're talking about Christian faith, I suppose that would offend some people. And maybe, by politics, probably when anytime you talk about politics, people do get on one side or the other, and maybe that offends people. But I don't know what the risk is to being offended at all. And so I don't know if they anticipate some sort of property damage or something like that, because I would have infuriated somebody or someone enough for them. I don't know. And so it just comes off as very weird. And it makes you kind of go down rabbit holes. Like, are they opposed to my view on Christianity? Like, are they opposed to Christianity? Are they opposed to my views of other faiths? As a Christian, I don't believe that those are the way to everlasting life. Are they opposed by that? Are they upset? I don't know if that's what it is. I mean, maybe it is my politics. Am I too conservative? Am I not conservative enough? Am I not towing the line with the MAGA folks regarding the Iran war, and that's the problem? Or is it something? I don't know. We just don't know. And my guess is we're not going to know. I don't know if they're even obliged to really tell us. They just said, for reasons of politics and faith, we've decided to drop you from our insurance policies. And like I said, we've already replaced them, and life goes on. And we'll see, in fact, if we actually do get a letter from this particular mutual insurance company. But I doubt that we will. And so it's that's makes me big time. I've been canceled. Literally, my mouth has got us canceled, at least with one insurance company, which was easily replaced by another. But amazing. Isn't that amazing? It's kind of exciting. I mean, and so as my wife was, revealing that she hadn't listened to my show in a while, and explaining to me what had happened, she's deciding that she's going to go do other things now. Now I'm aware of it. And I'm there thinking, going like, this is great. This is a great thing to talk about on my show, which got me canceled in the first place. So I'm not going to name their name because that's not fair to them at all. And they have the right as a business to do that. And I just think it's weird. And what in the heck is going on where you can be canceled, in this case, literally canceled, as a customer because of your beliefs. I guess that's the future. And so it'll be interesting to see how this develops for other things, not necessarily for us here, but for just other things as you look around. Maybe it happens to you. Maybe what you say on social media, for example, which I do almost no social media because I just find it doesn't get you anywhere anyway. I read a lot of the social media stuff and roll my eyes, probably like you do, but that is beside the point. So maybe your comments on social media, maybe those in the future, they're gonna search your stuff and they're gonna say this person is wackadoodle, and we're going to drop them from your auto insurance, which is easy to replace with another auto insurance. They're all competing with each other. So it's just something that I think we'll be taking a look at and paying attention to. I did talk to some folks about this in the last few days. And apparently this particular company is notorious for doing that. So we don't really know what their stances are on faith or politics. We have no idea. But apparently it doesn't match mine, or if it does match mine, having a podcast and speaking your mind in America is just too much of a risk for the actuaries at this particular and perhaps other mutual insurance companies. And so that is the big news there. I don't know what that'll mean for the future, but that's what happened. And now you know the rest of the story on that particular situation. Oh, it's happening again. Mark your calendars for Vinyl Fest 7, April 4th at the Bowman Fine Arts Center in Forest City, Iowa. Go to bowmanfineartscenter.org or follow the link in the show notes to get your tickets now. They're just $20 in advance, $25 at the door. Again, it's April 4th. It's the 1950s Vinyl Fest 7. You're going to love it. And guess what? I'm going to tell you what the lineup is buzz right now, so you know we've got the Velvet Trio making a comeback with Mama Said, Sweet Nothings, Lollipop, dedicated to the one, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, and Mr. Sandman. And of course, we've got Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry's going to be there. My cousin Sean Thompson, he's an amazing singer, singing Johnny Be Good, You Can Never Tell, Little Queenie, Maybelline, Reelin' and a Rockin', and no particular place to go. Then there is, of course, an intermission where you go out and have a good time, grab some drinks, and then come into set 2 with none other than Jerry Lee Lewis. And friends, if you have ever seen Donovan Johnson play the piano, I mean, he is Jerry Lee. Not only is Jerry Lee a huge influence on Donovan Johnson, but man, he plays that piano like he is the killer himself, with High School Confidential, Breathless, Crazy Arms, Pink Cadillac, Great Balls of Fire, and a whole lot of shaking. And there's more. Guess what? Yours truly is going to be in this one as well. I return to the stage after being Johnny Cash to come in with 6 songs you may well know from the king himself: Jailhouse Rock, Love Me Tender, Don't Be Cruel, Teddy Bear, All Shook Up, Hound Dog, and my goodness, a few more songs to wrap up the show that everybody's going to love. You do not want to miss Final Fest 7 at the Bowman Fine Arts Center, April 4th, 7 p.m. Doors open at 6, $20 in advance. Go to bowmanfineartscenter.org now and get your tickets and see the show. So, in the last week, moving on to other things that are less controversial, as being dropped by your umbrella insurance carrier, we've had our beef steers now and for several months, and you've heard me talk about that, and we've sold them and continue to get them delivered to where they need to be. The first load of 5 steers went to the meat locker, which is, USDA inspected and all that good stuff, and they do a good job, and that's why we chose to work with them. They went on Friday, on the 20th, and so I was, what we did is it's better we loaded them, these 5, the night before. And my neighbors have many, 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 many cattle. They're like the real, cattle people. They've got show cattle, and they've got lots of cattle and calves, start to finish, the whole thing. They sell commodities, so like they, go to the market with their cattle, just, sell them by the load that way, whereas I sell much smaller operation to you individuals, and that's the business that I like to be in. But they're the experts over this. They've also got all the equipment, and so I like learning from them. They're very helpful. They are actually encouraging for a guy like me who started this operation at 50. And so they're just great people, and we have sons that play on the Waldorf football team together, and we just are neighbors, and they actually live where my great-great-grandfather, the first Thompson in the United States, that for our family anyway, T.I., that's where he lived, and so he had established his farm. So they live actually where our great-great-grandpa lived, and started his farming operation in the 1800s. So they're like a mile as the crow flies away from me. So they have all the equipment. They have, instead of buying a very expensive trailer or even a dilapidated one, I said, hey, I bet they've got a trailer, and they certainly do. And they've got all the things that you need. So they custom hauled for me, and they came down on Thursday night, and we loaded these 5 steers and got them and actually moved, and then they took them back to their place a mile away. That way the cows don't talk to each other. Hey, I'm in this trailer. What's going on? Where are you? I'm over here where I normally am. Where are you? And that kind of goes back and forth. So they went and talked to the other cows over at their farm. And then in the morning, well, first of all, I have to say, the load-out process did not go as smoothly as I was hoping. If you recall, in Iowa, in our part of Iowa, last Sunday, we had a blizzard. It's a spring blizzard, and I don't know how many inches we got. It was several, and then it was blowing around, and they canceled schools for 2 days. We had a our high school had their band out in Chicago for the St. Patty's Day parade and all of that stuff, and they performed in that, and they got stuck in Chicago just because of the weather. They couldn't come back until Tuesday, and so school was canceled Monday and Tuesday, and I was moving snow pretty much from Sunday night through Tuesday, and continued to do so even onto Thursday as I was getting set and ready for these cattle to be loaded out. And so it was very difficult. It becomes very muddy because it melts. It comes down all at once, and then it sits there, and you're like, well, this is a blizzard. Now we've got, winter wonderland here. But then it gets up to like 50, 60 degrees, and it just starts melting right away. And most of it's already gone. We had 77, 80 degrees on Saturday, as you recall, if you're around here. And so most of the snow that was here, several inches, are mostly gone now, except for a few shady spots around. And so moving snow and then turning everything into mud and just the muck and just this whole process of that's farming, I guess. Everybody's laughing at me and saying, well, welcome to farming. When you want to load out your animals, that's, when the bad weather happens. And it did. I mean, the loadout day was fine, but it was just a very muddy deal. And so the young man named Shad, and he comes driving in with this really nice, big, long, I don't even know, maybe 40-foot long trailer. And he's with his mom. Now, Stephanie is her name, and she is, I don't know if she's 5 feet tall. I don't know. She's very close to not being 5 feet tall, if that. And so I don't know her actual height. But she's very short in stature, but very feisty. And they have, I think, 7 kids over there on the ranch a mile away. And they're all hard workers, and they're all farm kids, and they've seen it. They nose to the grindstone, good people, faithful people, good friends. And so it's Shad and his mom, Stephanie, in this big truck. And I don't think her feet are touching the floor when she sits in the passenger seat. And I was waiting for them. I didn't know who was going to come. I thought it was going to be actually the grandpa. His name is Lynn, and I'll talk about him in a minute here. But it was Shad and Stephanie. So they show up. I explain what we're doing, where we're loading out, and it takes a little bit to get in the mud and everything. Even though I had put some gravel out, it still was very soft, and so it takes a little bit to get oriented with that trailer. And we get it figured out, and we move some gates so that we have a better chute a little further up, and then Stephanie's standing behind the gate, and she's not very big. She's like, you want me to hold this gate? And I'm like, well, these steers are like, 1,400 pounds or whatever. It's like, no, I don't. Well, Shad, why don't you hold the gate? And then you'll be able to slam the door shut as we load them up. And so then so she's like, yeah, that's a good idea. So then she hops in to the muddy mess and helps me move these 5 steers into the trailer. And it went well for a while, and then the last couple did not want to go into the trailer, and but she was just getting after them, and I thought that was very fun and interesting, because she's just in there getting after the cattle, and mud and muck that doesn't bother any of them. We got them loaded, and it was all in, all set, all done, real good, and then off they went, took them up to their ranch on the hill. And then the next morning, I went up there at 6:00 in the morning, because we had to have them delivered by 7, or between 7 and 7:30. And this time I am with the grandpa, because he likes getting up a little bit earlier apparently. And so Lynn is the patriarch over there on the hill, and Lynn lives in a cabin in the woods that they have nearby. And so he's up and ready, and I meet him, and we hop in the truck, and off we go to take these cattle to their final destination, which in and of itself is, for me, the first time It's not sad. It's just different. It's something that I haven't necessarily experienced with cattle. We had hogs when I was growing up, and I did not feel this way about the pigs at all. But cows are a little bigger. They're a little cuter. They got little haircuts and things like that. But again, remember, God gives us the animals to care for, to take care of, and then to feed us. And so I said a little prayer for my steers in the trailer, and ask God to bless them and bless the families that benefit from their gift, and so on and so forth. And I rode up to Conger, Minnesota, with Lynn, who had many things to say. It was a constant conversation all the way up there, and he took a different way than I do normally. So my calculations of how long it would take to get to Conger was about 45 minutes, but it was an hour and 15 the way he did it, which is fine. He went, I'd say, the longer route, and he also drives a little slower than I do, which is probably good because there's animals in the back in the trailer. So it made for a 90-minute round trip, very enjoyable conversation with a guy who has been around and farming his entire life and has suffered some and like everybody, suffered some tragedies. He lost his wife a couple of years ago. He told me all about that situation. She had gotten cancer and was only supposed to live for about 18 months and ended up living 8 years. He himself had cancer, and then he stopped going to treatment because he was busy taking care of his wife who had cancer. And he confirmed with me that he was quite sure that he should be the one that died, but for whatever reason, God keeps him around. And all of this was inspired by this conversation. Me, a 50-year-old brand new farmer, 51, I guess, and then him being in this for a long time, his whole life as a farmer. And I just said, we're going to Lalaka. Like, I knew for the last couple of months the day that would be these cattle, their last day, the 20th of March and the 30th of March. And God knows that about you and me. Like, we're all going to the locker, so to speak, and he knows the date for each and every one of us, and we don't know. The cows don't know. Before we made it back to our respective ranches, those 5 cattle were already gone because they get right to it, and it's very humane in that way, and that's why we chose this particular company, and they do a great job processing. And so that's the business. But for me, it was the first time to do that, and it wasn't apoplectic or sad or anything like that. It was just an odd feeling to have a little bit of something. And so but it's hard not to, and I know this would really irritate that, no longer, that insurance company that we're no longer with, but it's hard not to talk about faith, when you're a farmer, because, and I'm not a farm. I grew up on a farm. My brother's a farmer. My parents are farmers. I'm trying to be a little rancher here and doing, fun little farm things that I enjoy and like to do, for you, my listeners, and my customers as it goes. But every farmer, I think, to some degree, and probably, I don't know what the percentage is, I hope most of the farmers recognize that their business is, reliant on the weather, which is controlled by God. It is a life and death operation, whether it's plants or animals, and they have a responsibility every single day to care for either their fields or their flocks, whatever it happens to be. And when you are in that position, it does give you a better, in my opinion, a better understanding of God himself, which is probably why in the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, so many stories, references, parables are made related to farming. Certainly in that time, 2,000 years ago and beyond, there was much more an agrarian society than it is today. Most people do not consider where their food comes from, or where, it's just in the grocery store. That's how it gets, or who makes it, or where, who are the lives, the hands, the people that are involved in creating the food that goes on your plate every single day, whether it's at a restaurant or it's at home, hopefully at home, and you like to cook. But regardless, that is a farmer. It is Ag Week, whatever that means, this week. And it's interesting that one of my customers is also the radio guy, the local radio guy, and he, who's been on the show, Carl. You know Carl. Carl ordered a quarter of beef, and he, and then he sends me an email with a script, because I'll also do in the studio. I'll do recordings for radio stations for their liners, which is where you hear like B103, like that's me for some of those radio stations, and it's just a little side business that helps pay for the studio and different things, and it doesn't take very long. So he sends me a script, and he's like, "Well, it's Ag Week. Would you read, the first one?" And it's funny because now it says, "Hi, I'm Troy Thompson, a local beef producer." And I'm like, "Well, I am, but I mean, come on. I mean, up the hill, that farm and ranch is like, they're way bigger beef producer than I am." And so, but the advantage is I have a studio and a background in production and radio. And so that's why he said, like, "Here's a farmer, quote unquote, that I can send this script to, and he can record it and send it back to me the same day," which I did. And I heard it today on the radio because it's Ag Week, in celebration of Ag Week, But it's true. The food that you eat is coming from a farmer somewhere. Well, hopefully it's an American farmer, but it's probably not. If you're eating an apple this time of year, you are, buying an apple from South America. And I can talk about maybe why that's not so healthy, not because it's from South America, but when you have to ship food that far across, continents, you do have to harvest them a little earlier. So the lignans that are in the fruit trees, I don't know if that's the right term, but there's a chemical that the fruit tree produces that, say, for example, makes an apple sour in tart. You don't want to eat it yet. That's a chemical that the tree puts into it to keep predators of that fruit from eating it too soon, because the seeds inside are not ready. Then what the tree does is, when the seeds are ready, it pulls that chemical back out through the branch, back into the tree, and now it's just a sweet apple that is attractive to predators, human or other animal, and they will eat that. And then the tree is really hoping that they'll eat the whole thing, and then they'll seeds included, and then they'll poop it out, and it'll be fertilized, and then another tree, its offspring, will carry on. I don't know if trees hope, but that's the way they're designed. And so this is how it is with really any fruit and many other vegetables, for that matter, because they have plants have defense mechanisms, which are chemical, to assure that they are not eaten by predators until they're ready to be eaten. And hopefully that predator then carries the seed and does the work for the plant. But if you have to ship it, say 2 weeks or 3 weeks, to get it from a point in the world to another point in the world that is that far away, however it gets here, by ship or train or truck or all the above, then those products are picked earlier than you would expect. And so they stay firm, and then they will ripen in transit, so that you get these nice, for example, apples in the grocery store in March in Iowa, where there are no apple trees. The apple season in this part of the country, in this part of the hemisphere, is like, September, late August, September, October, and then so you can store them into the winter, January, February. So it's possible, I suppose, that there could still be some ripe apples if they're kept in the right temperature. But more than likely, particularly, in the summer and the spring, this time of year, they're coming from the other hemisphere, which is in their opposite seasonal period as we are right now. And that's fine, except for the fact that it still has all those chemicals in it, because the fruit is pulled off the tree before the tree pulls that chemical out of it. And so the tartness remains. And so by the time it does ripen, so that by the time it gets here, it is ripe, but it still has all of those, that particular chemical or chemicals, natural chemicals from the plant, still inside the fruit. And some people think that's not healthy for you to eat. And I kind of, think that's the case. I was reading a whole lot of books about 8-9 years ago, when it became apparent that my father-in-law who has passed on, was starting to show the early signs of Alzheimer's or dementia, and he had anticipated that this would be the reality. And so I just kind of dove into a lot of research and books about what we eat and the plasticity of the brain, and really conversations and topics that were pretty much outside of my scope, but I learned a lot in the process, and that was one of the things that I learned. So what we eat does matter, and where it comes from does matter. And but wherever it's coming from a farmer and a producer who is trying to provide, good food for you. And that's what we're trying to do here, and that's what got us all talking about this. We have a small, tiny farm operation that is in its first set of products that is coming out in the next couple of weeks to our customers, and we're very happy about that. But the conversation that I had with Lynn as we drove up to and back from the meat locker, was relevant to how God has something in, we've all got a date at the locker. And like I said, he knows when that date is, and we do not. And death is a part of life. And so what we do between now and then absolutely matters. It was just a wonderful conversation with this faithful man who had seen everything and had lots of funny stories. And maybe I'll get him on the show sometime. That'd be fun to sit down with an old farmer or two and share stories about how things have changed, how our world seems to work, and just all of these things. And they love to tell the stories, believe me. And I enjoyed every moment of that. And to be honest with you, it did help me assuage any feelings of, I don't say remorse or guilt or anything like that, but you feel when you deliver an animal to the locker. And so I appreciate what those moments in the truck with Lynn provided for me, and really am grateful to that particular family, the Woogie family, who has just supported me in this operation, and will continue to do so as they load out the last 5 here next week on Monday on the next show for the Sunnyside of Life. Newly insured across the board by a different company who apparently can't stand it when I relate things to politics and faith. We are doing the bidding of Israel for Israel. Trump has said so. This is Israel. This is a war for Israel. I have no idea why we would do that.
Treat everybody the same.
To be together and to be thankful for the things that we have, including each other. But I think most importantly, the ability to recognize that each one of us in our life, maybe every day, has that moment where you can say to our Father in heaven, "Hey, Dad, I'm in trouble. I need your help."
Got to do what you can to make everybody happy.
Now, as you know, we are not monetized. However, you can buy us a coffee. There'll be a little emblem that says you can support the show on whichever platform it is that you are listening to the Sunny Side of Life. And I would be darn honored if you bought me a coffee, so to speak. Or I think the emblem, I changed it to a beer, which seems, to be honest, probably more appropriate. So buy me a coffee, buy me a beer, whatever it is, and that helps support the show so we can continue to develop more and more great skits and have more and more great conversations just like this. And if you do, great. If you don't, that's just fine too. Just wanted to let you know, be the sunny side of somebody else's life.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now back to the show. There's the old saying that you're not supposed to talk about, in polite company, sex, politics, or religion. And then there's another saying that how in the world can we get to where we are after millennia without those 3 incredible parts of human existence: sex, politics, and religion. And so I'll continue doing what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it. I hope you are too. Thanks for listening. And regardless of, I guess, what the actuaries might think, I think by the numbers, we're doing a pretty good job. So I've been canceled, but I like it. And it's all right with me because I'm going to keep on doing what I do. And I hope that you keep on listening to what I'm doing. I appreciate it. And thank you very much, because we're just going to keep on being the sunny side of someone else's life.
When the shadows fall and doubts begin to creep, remember, together we're strong, never weak. Lift your neighbor up with kindness every day. Let your actions speak the words you want to say.
The Sunny Side of Life is a weekly production about our life on the family farmstead here in Iowa, the liberties we prize, and the pursuits which make us happy. None of this is possible, of course, without Christ in our lives. For the Lord God is our sun and our shield. He gives us grace and glory.
Be the sunny side of someone else's life. Share your light and joy through struggle and strife. Keep your heart open and your soul always bright. Together we will share this sunny side life. Be the sunny side of someone else's life. Share your light and joy through struggle and strife. Keep your heart open and your soul always bright. Together we will share this sunny side life.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may the sunny side of your life in Christ be made evident unto you each and every day, and give you peace.